Hey everyone, Brandon the MYOG Angler here on a cold New Jersey January day, and I just wanted to take a few minutes and show you around my DIY fly rod carrier that I built a while back. And I posted a photo on Reddit and a few people were interested, so I thought I'd give you kind of a rundown of how I built it and what it's built with, so that you can get a better idea of how this thing works. Basically, the impetus of this was just seeing a few other PVC based DIY fly rod carriers out on a few trucks, out and about in the wild. And I wanted to build something similar, but I also wanted to build something that was going to have the structural integrity of its own, to be able to be taken on and off the car as needed, because I just had this Subaru Outback, so I wanted to be able to take it off when I didn't need it, if I wanted to throw a Yakima box on top or something else, or just not run with the rods on top. And so that got me thinking how I could build something with PVC, ideally for cost, and also rod protection, not having any metal rubbing the rods potentially, but something that was going to have the integrity of its own to be able to do the things I needed to. So I ended up with a design that had this aluminum square tube on the bottom running 8 feet, supporting the PVC tubes on top. And between the aluminum and the PVC together, it turned out to be a pretty solid package. So it's worked out pretty well. I've had it for a few years. I built it about the last year or so. I lived in Reno, Nevada, and so I spent one season fishing Pyramid Lake with it. If anybody's fished Pyramid, it involves a little bit of driving, off highway to get down to the lake. So it was rocking and rolling a little bit on top of my car as I'm driving off road. Of course, Subaru Outback wasn't doing anything crazy, but it held up just fine on the bumpy roads. So the PVC I chose for this build is made by a company called Formafit. They build their PVC as being structural PVC or furniture grade PVC. Basically, it's just a glossy mark-free PVC. So it's got a higher finish than what you're going to find at the hardware store. You certainly could use Schedule 40 or Schedule 80 if you wanted to save a few bucks going that route. I figured I'd spend a little bit more on it with the Formafit, just to get a little bit higher finish and maybe make this thing look not half bad, given how much time and effort I was going to put into building the thing. So all in all, I think it turned out pretty good, and I think it was a good choice. They sell, of course, all the fittings as well. They actually make this pipe in a bunch of different colors. I think the fittings come in fewer colors still. I think it's usually, I think it's only black and white, but they've got a bunch of different colors that the pipe comes in. This is just a standard 2-inch PVC, 2-inch inner diameter PVC pipe. So that ended up being perfect. It's kind of a perfect fit for the fly rods. Inside these tubes, from the tip all the way up about 6 feet, is pipe insulation. So there's 1-inch pipe insulation running through the front of both tubes. That cushions the rods really well, I think, and pretty much ensures we don't have any issues with rods rattling around inside the tubes. You can see this 8 feet of aluminum square tube starts supporting right past the tip. So right as we get in, a little over a foot, there's a clamp here holding the tubes in place. And then at each of these what I call H fittings, basically 2 T fittings that I put together, the pipes are joined, and then there's a U-bolt bolting the whole pipe package to the frame. So connected here, these pipe sections are 40 inches. They were cheaper buying 40-inch sections than 60-inch sections, cheaper on the shipping, that is. But they actually ended up being perfect. If we do 3 sections of 40 inches, they come out just about perfect length to support up to about a 10-foot rod. I had a 10-foot Euro nymphing rod in here for a while I had a Euro nymphing rod, and it fit great. And now I've got rods up to 9.5 feet, and so they fit with room to spare. So again, U-bolt here, and then another clamp that I built at the very end of the aluminum frame here, and then we get to our box. And so the nice thing about the aluminum frame is you can basically, wherever you can drill holes, you can mount this thing to your crossbars or your rack or whatever you're going to mount this thing to. So you can drill as many holes as you want. You can mount it, you know, fit it for multiple vehicles if you want. Having this continuous aluminum bar on the bottom gives you tons of mounting options. And again, with these 2 U-bolts, again, this is just one piece of 1x1 aluminum tube. It's plenty strong. You get these U-bolts clamped down. There's a little spider, that's fun. You get these U-bolts clamped down, and this thing's rock solid. So with these 2 feet, this thing is not going anywhere. Now, today I just threw on these little wing nuts, but what you can do, and what I did when I had this on for weeks at a time, was actually use, you know, regular nuts, just basically for theft deterrence, you know, more than anything else. The cool thing about this is, in terms of trying to get a wrench in here real quick or something like that, you really can't, because the top of the aluminum bar is just a little higher than the bottom of the pipe. So somebody walking past your truck or car wanting to grab this thing is going to have a real tough time, even if they do have a wrench with them. You really need deep sockets, you know, long sockets with a ratchet to be going from the top to get this thing off. And my thinking was the average thief probably doesn't have that readily available. So once we get back here to the box, again, I chose this is a Sheffield field box. You could use really any ammo box, it's about this size, but I went with this box because it had a metal latch here, and then it had a metal lock ring, which I thought was a little more secure than some of the others that just had these plastic you know, eyes. So, you know, I can run my padlock there that keeps this locked up when stuff's inside. Opening up, I just kind of threw these in here just now, but what I would normally do, I've got a 5-weight right now and an 8-weight in here. Not a tight fit, but there's not a ton of room in here, but it's also not super cramped that they're jammed in here. And what I ended up doing, you certainly could put foam, you know, adhesive back foam around the sides here. I didn't really worry too much about that. And instead I generally just ran with a microfiber towel kind of stuffed under the reels and then between the reels, and everything stayed nice and secure. So no real issues with that. Again, you could get really creative with how you do the inside of this box and use foam. If you changed where you drill these holes, you might end up with some different geometry in here. I don't know, but this worked well for me. You know, good old microfiber towel did the trick and kept everything nice and safe, and no issues. So you can see there's the end of the PVC pipes come through there, and I made kind of a lip here that is all nice and sanded and rounded so it doesn't mar anything. But that basically prevents the box from coming out this way. And then on the other side, I used these collars to snug up against the box there, and basically kind of trap the bottom of the box in between those two rings, so that the box bottom is basically clamped in there, and there's some weather stripping foam in that as well that I sandwiched in there to make a weather tight seal, and that worked pretty well. I haven't had any you know, leaking or anything inside the box. So and it's solid. It works pretty well. So that's pretty much the build. So that's my DIY fly rod carrier. I hope you all enjoyed the video and got a better idea of kind of how I built this, and hopefully I inspired a few people to take on this build themselves, and I'd love to see what you come up with. I do have a write-up of kind of the general instructions and process for how I built this thing on my website, myogangler.com. You can look for the link in the description of this video. I'll post it there. And like I say, if you do build one of these things yourself, I'd love to see it. Definitely connect with me on Instagram or on my website or even in the comments of this video, and I'd love to connect and see what you can do. So again, thanks again, and have a great day.